mind screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. Everybody's telling truth like a brand, buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth. But silence is loud when the house is burning. And the fuse is short, yeah, it's still learning. I don't dance for the left or the right. I stand in the heat, I stand in the fight. No strings, no chains, no manufactured choir. Just gasoline thoughts and an open lighter. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. World's on tilt, pressure climbing. Truth don't whisper, it's perfect timing. You can't cancel the smoke, you can't stop flame. Say my name when it hits, say my name. Why? Say my name. Say my name. Fire don't ask permission. Fire don't need a side. Fire just
What's going on, everybody? Good to see you all. Welcome to the show. I'm Ace. Tonight we are going deep into the Epstein files because we can't look away from this. There's just more and more coming out. It is crazy. So got a lot to break down. So much exposure is going on. This is just blowing open the entirety of the elites. They are panicking like crazy. Just more and more is coming out. Celebrities, media types, politicians, power brokers, you name it. We're learning more about Epstein, and we just got to go. We got to get deep into it tonight because as long as this keeps giving us the good stuff, I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, today the House did pass through the partial opening of the government, so that's going to last for at least for 2 more weeks while they fight out this DHS stuff. I could be talking about that, but I mean, the SAVE Act is maybe going to get a vote soon. There's so much going on, but this is the most important thing. And the reason is this is what's going to have the most lasting effect, the pressure on the elites. And we got to get this information out there. They're going to try to distract from this. They're going to try to cover it up. They're going to try to keep throwing stuff at us. And we're not going to let them. We're not going to let them because my God, folks. So strap in, lots to cover. It's going to be a lot of information tonight. I hope you're ready for it because, and I tell you, a lot of people are being vindicated right now who are called crazy and conspiracy theorists. There's vindications left and right. But the other thing is a lot of people their careers are being ruined, and the good kind of careers we want ruined. And this has to keep getting out to the people because this will, I'm telling you right now, this is going, if this gets out there, if this keeps coming, and we got more drops still lined up, but as this keeps going forward, it's just proving everything we've been saying, but it's also going to topple down a lot of the power structures in our world, and so we cannot let this stop. So let's break it out. I hope so far, I gotta say, I was scared of my last video that YouTube was going to flag it or take it down. It didn't. So props to YouTube for allowing that up there. It used to be I'd have to just put this stuff on Rumble because YouTube would demonetize my video or tear it down. So wow, it's getting easier to expose, and that's the Trump effect, people. Don't say elections don't matter. So anyways, gonna go through that. Gonna go through a lot of exposure going on. So that's where we're covering a lot of people, names being exposed, things being exposed. We're gonna keep going through that tonight, and then we're gonna finish up with a little talk, some big stuff on the economy. But tonight, mostly exposure and mostly from the Epstein files. So anyways, hit that like, hit that subscribe before we get started. Thank you guys for your support. Hit that repost. If you're on X, share this with a friend, get it out there. Thank you guys for the support, and let's get in the chat, say hey to everybody, and we're going to jump right into this. Wago Waco, what's up, man? Numero uno tonight. Kim Wiley, what's going on? Nick Majors. Oh, your fever took you out. Dude, I got a nasty cold yesterday. It wiped me out. But I'm back. Toe Cramp, what's up? William Collins, how you doing? Scott Volkovich, Frank Anastasio, Action Not Words, what's going on? Cindy Lou, Drewski, Big Dog, AZ Tropic on Rumble, what's up? Dustin White, Linda Telly, Heidi, sorry to interrupt. You're watching. I did post, just so you guys know, the full Bannon Epstein interview, 2 hours. I did post that on my channel. So if you want to get into the mind of the madman, as Steve Bannon interviews him, it is a wild interview. So much crazy stuff in that interview. Just a real great insight into Epstein's thinking and his connections, kind of a creepy relationship he had with Bannon. We're going to talk about that tonight. But anyways, worth watching or listening to. That I posted on the channel earlier today. Tocramp, love the song. Thank you, sir. Marcos, what's up? Barbara's in the house. William Kivamaki, Vince Felice, what's going on, man? Christina Abbott, how are you? Justice and Jim Boswell hopes both teams lose the Super Bowl. I mean, I kind of with you on that one. We're going to talk about Robert Kraft tonight too. Oh man. Oh, he and Epstein were buddies. So what's up, Winged Wolf? It has been a while. Good to see you, my friend. You were at Christina Abbott was at the Great Canadian Conservative Convention as a voting delegate. God bless you for the hard work. Well done. What's up, Juan, for the Big H? What's up, buddy? Good to see you guys. Hit the chat up as always. I'll do my best to hit you guys up with your comments, your questions, especially YouTube and Rumble. And I'm sorry, on X, it is tough to see you guys on X. And hopefully someday X changes that on the live feeds. But for now, if you comment on X, I'm probably going to miss it. Christina Abbott with the donation, $7 donation. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much for the support, Christina Abbott. You are amazing, and Godspeed. God bless Canada. Okay, are you guys ready? We're going to get right into it because there is so much to cover, and I'm going to try to do this all in about an hour and a half tops. So wish me luck. Okay, this is crazy, but it also vindicates so much of what we've been covering on this show, and I nightly bring up to you guys. Jeffrey Epstein writing Peter Thiel. Epstein represented the Rothschilds. And as he says here, as you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. Now, why is this a big deal? I know a lot of you guys immediately, the Rothschilds, ping your brains, like, of course. Well, yeah, I mean, that's not the big thing here. What does matter here is Epstein admitting this tie. And also, you know, so many people, the Israel tards, as we call them, that are obsessed with Israel. It's like Epstein's Mossad, Epstein's Mossad, Epstein's Mossad. Well, yeah, there are ties to Mossad, 100%. But as we always talk about here, Mossad isn't the big enemy. Israel's not the big enemy. They are pawns, often used by the big enemy. And honestly, I think some of them are trying to break free of it, just like many countries and peoples are trying to break free of these globalist cabal, aka City of London types. This proves it even more. This is even more evidence in that direction, because the Rothschilds are City of London all day long. They are part of it. For those who don't know, City of London is the leftover empire, UK empire financial system. It's not London proper. It's not England. It's a network of financiers, bankers, and the financial system that was run out of the UK, and then now the Dutch trading companies. But it is where the real power brokers reside. They run the EU. They've run much of America. They've run Israel. They started Israel. They created Israel as their power broker in the Middle East. And so this is, they control the deep state. They control the at least most of the deep state. So this is just more proof towards that. Epstein was directly tied City of London, and that's what we've been trying to get out to everybody. And so cutting through the psyops, which the Israel stuff is absolutely most of the time psyop, because it's this coded, like, let's just all focus on Israel. It takes the focus off the real bad guys. Okay. It's everything in its proper place. So you got to look at this. And here's even more with the Rothschild, the connector here. Ariana de Rothschild, French banker, and from the Rothschild family, share with Epstein her family supported Hitler in mass destruction to gain more power. And you see this email right here is pretty crazy. As you probably know, she writes, I represent the Rothschilds, hoping to figure out a way for the bank that has 160 billion in management can do something in tech. Actually, this is Epstein writing this. Best client list in the world, prehistoric products. They can wait. Good luck in China. She writes, just should be back in East Coast, certainly non-Saudi. So this is the connection with her. Here's the email about the Hitler stuff. It says at the bottom right here. First, it turns out to be 100% true. Hitler was selling his clothes and artwork and living in a shelter funded by Jews. Epstein, Rothschild, Gutmann. No conspiracy. Epstein's were the Vienna bankers, bought their bank on the ring, hence still Palace. Epstein, where are you? I'm in bed with your cold. I know it's true, but regularly used to say Rothschilds planned and supported Hitler and mass destruction to gain more power. I mean, how much? And then at the top, did you get my video with the girls? Gross. How much, guys? How much of our history is not fully known? Now, I've heard many times World War II is a banker's war. All wars are bankers' wars. Of course. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It doesn't mean that's all they are, but they definitely have a part in it. So here we have the Rothschild City of London funding Hitler. Well, I don't have time to go into the whole World War II arc. There's a lot of great material out there. I recommend listening to it. Martyr Maid does some of the stuff. Tucker Carlson's actually done some really good stuff on this. So go do your research on that. Maybe I'll cover it at another time when things are slow in the news, if that ever happens again. But here we are, an actual Rothschild admitting it, and Epstein admitting his family as well, having ties to all that craziness in World War II. This tells you guys that the roots of this go far back. And not that we didn't know that, but listen, there's a lot of people who don't believe us. A lot of people who think we're crazy. There's a reason my channel is not huge, and it's because a lot of people aren't ready for what we talk about here. It's just, that's one of the many reasons. They want the cookie cutter, feed it to them, entertaining politics or sports or, movie highlights, whatever. And it's because to have your brain explode. Also, the algorithms don't push truth. And sometimes when the algorithms are pushing somebody, it makes you wonder, why are they being pushed so hard? Nick Fuentes, cough, excuse me. But this is crazy stuff. absolutely crazy. And it just shows, I mean, how deep, how long has this web been around? I mean, I contend, as you know, these people are worshipers of Baal. I mean, Epstein, one of his accounts was Baal, Baal, going back to Moloch, the demon worshipped, the demon god worshipped, even going back to the Old Testament by many of the Hittites and Canaanites, these ancient civilizations that ate their children, sacrificed their children. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. The only thing that's truly been changing it, guys, is the spread of light and truth. And, you can actually trace it back to the beginning of the breaking of these systems, which they've been slowly losing power. It comes in waves. Over time, though, it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker as a whole. It's from the death of Jesus going forward as light spreads. And I think we're at a breaking point now where they are finally about to lose their last grips over major power. It's coming. It's coming, because we've never, ever seen exposure on a mass scale like this before. These Epstein files are unraveling so much. Think about it. If you're talking some crazy that people are like, I don't believe that. You're like, oh yeah, let me show you something. And now we actually have emails from a Rothschild to Epstein, the greatest conspiracy theory of all time, proven true. The pedophile island, the elites, the blackmail, the power broking, all confirmed, connected with so many celebrities, so many politicians, so many people in the media. I mean, wild. It's mind blowing, and we're still unraveling it. But you have emails now from actual Rothschilds to this man. And this is just a Twitter. This is just stuff on Twitter right now. It's being shared on X that you could easily just parse through without thinking twice about, because that's how much is being exposed right now. But that's why I'm sitting on it for a few minutes, because guys, this is the kind of stuff that changes the world. Barbara with the $10 donation. Thank you so much, Barbara. I appreciate the support. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the absolute best. Moody asked, do I think that as this unravels, City of London and Cabal will use Islam to continue their power grab? I don't think so. I think they want to, and I think they've used that in the past, but they're losing their grip. As you could see, Trump has freed most of the Middle East. That's why they love him so much. The Saudis, he freed them first back in 2017. He went over there. Most of the princes were busted for all kinds of crazy stuff. A lot of it was pedophilic, busted. And then Mohammed bin Salman came in, and he has been close to Trump ever since. And Saudi Arabia has been much closer to America since they took down the original corrupt House of Saud, which was controlled by City of London. So that's there. I mean, you have all these other countries in the Middle East now that love Trump. They treat him like a king when he shows up. There's reasons for this, guys. Reasons for this. They do not have the same control in these places they used to have, but it's unraveling, and that's, I mean, think about it. Think how far we've gotten right now with in Trump's term. We're a full year in, as he's been just breaking their power. Their what's the word I'm thinking about? Like their holds on power left and right. Okay, Venezuela being a major one recently, is just breaking all these areas of power they had, where they ran their operations. What he just did at Davos, just going straight to their faces, telling them it's over. You will no longer take advantage of us. I mean, all of this has happened, and they haven't been able to pull off something major yet. I'm not saying they won't try. I'm not saying they won't try other things and something might get through, but they're showing us how weak they are. It's wild to think. Migrant influx. Well, yeah, they did import a lot of migrants, but I do think we might have more. We might have weeded out more of the sleeper cells and stuff than many people thought. That, and so, but we'll see. It's something to keep an eye on. Okay, as this continues, we have Bill Gates' wife coming out. Melinda Gates came out today and said, I think we're having a reckoning as a society. I hope there's justice for those women. I mean, this is crazy. Melinda Gates calling out her ex-husband. We all know she left him because he was involved with Epstein, and their Gates Foundation was a sham. She found out about Gates diddling prostitutes and maybe kids. Just found out how sick he was, left him. And now as these files are coming out, even Melinda Gates is calling it out. Talk about somebody who was right there. So, one of the things that really opens your eyes, like for me, before we had the actual tangible proof and documents such as now, was the fact of so many people in the power areas, like either through marriage or former stars, how many of them would report on what they'd seen and why they backed out, why they turned away. That's how you know. Moody asked, do I think Melinda knew how bad they were? I don't know if she knew how bad. If she did, she needs to come to account for not reporting it more. But, it's hard to say. You're married to somebody. You're very wealthy because of that marriage. They made you famous. You find out they're doing terrible things, but you also don't want to lose your lifestyle, or you don't want it to believe it's true because maybe you truly love that person at one point. It's complicated. So it's hard to know how much. I'll say these rich guys, rich couples in Hollywood, politics, whatever, it is not rare for one of them to hide something from the other. It's just not rare at all. And so I would say it's actually believable that Melinda maybe doesn't know everything or didn't. So, I'm going to cut her some slack for now because she at least left him and she at least seems to be willing to speak up a little bit. All right, let's keep moving. Do you guys remember the Wayfair stuff that started coming out right after Pizzagate, where you'd go to this site and there'd be names of furniture or other stuff that was named after missing kids? You'd see like a couch named Kim going for $35,000, and it was the only one on the site. These crazy things, and hundreds of matches to kids missing, and then you'd see their first name on there or just their last name with a link to something with a high price. And so people were like, they're selling the kids through Wayfair. That was going on for a long time. Okay. And it was debunked. The media came out, said it's a conspiracy theory, threw it down. Well, Liz Crokin, who has been one of the best on all this stuff for years now, shares this one. Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, this is a receipt, bought a single unlabeled $8,400 item from Wayfair. It's not lightning in a bottle proof, but it's proof. Let's just be honest. This stuff is disgusting. The fact that you catch an elite tied to Epstein making a purchase on all this, you can't make this stuff up, guys. It's crazy. And so there's, if you want more on this, because I'm not going to go into it too much, if you don't know about this story at all, the Wayfair stuff, you can go to Liz Crokin's Twitter profile, X profile, and she breaks it down really well. But again, this is starting to come back up. I talked to you guys on my last stream about how these files basically prove that Pizzagate was real. Yep. That's not an easy one for a lot of people to accept, but because we got to the point where it became mainstream to believe Pizzagate wasn't real. Oh, it's been debunked. They caught that crazy guy. It didn't have a basement. Yeah, people like never looked at the actual evidence. They just heard that story, and all this Epstein stuff now is reinforcing that entire story again. In fact, we had Mike Benz just went on Rogan, and let me see. I had a clip I wanted to play for you guys. Let me see if I can find it here. I don't. Oh, I guess I didn't have it lined up. Anyways, Mike Benz, who many of you guys might know, he's the one who's been doing incredible investigative work on our government's corruption, fraud, USAID, exposing stuff, the CIA, what they've been pulling off, the money laundering, the connections, all of it. He has just been going crazy on all that for I don't know, a few years now. His stuff is fantastic. He's also done some excellent diving into Epstein, his financial connections and how he got started. So very good stuff. Mike Benz was just on Rogan. Basically, he came out and said, basically the Pizzagate stuff's real. He was like, this is a really bad day for those who doubt Pizzagate. So for Mike Benz to say that, that's about as strong an endorsement from somebody who is all about the data as you can get. So again, it's like, I don't want to make light of it. We laugh. I kind of at the absurdity of it, the insanity of it. But the truth is, this is horrific stuff. It is so sick and sad. And, but the only way it ends is to expose it. And, so we, do it for the kids. More names coming out in the last couple of days. We have George Stephanopoulos coming out along with, let me read this right here. This is from Jeffrey Epstein to Boris Nikolic. It says Britain's Prince Andrew regaled a bevy of media heavyweights at Jeffrey Epstein's Upper East Side when he told of the royal family's joy over Prince Andrew throwing a party at Jeffrey Epstein's house on the Upper East Side, and guests came in to quiz him. In other words, they're all buddy playing games together. Guests including Katie Couric, oh cute old Katie, George Stephanopoulos, Charlie Rose, Woody Allen. That one surprises nobody. The dude married his adopted daughter. Disgusting. He's like 30 years older then. And Chelsea Handler, one of the most pathetic, vile human beings out there. So that shouldn't surprise anybody that they were all there, but just more and more names. It's one thing. And we can't say that all these people are guilty. We don't know. All right. And I'm not going to go out and say that all these people have done horrific criminal things, but because if we're playing everybody's guilty by association, well, then Trump's guilty. Elon's guilty. We have so many that are guilty. And so it's not association that makes you guilty. All right. I just want to be clear on that. But I also want to be clear that many of these things happened after Epstein was already outed as a pedophile. Trump has no connections with Epstein after 2004. Elon never went to the island. And in fact, his connections stopped pretty quick after he was talking to Epstein. So, and I don't think it's any surprise that Elon was calling for the files and Trump doesn't seem fazed by it. Meanwhile, you hear these people completely avoiding talking about it. So, it's circumstantial evidence, but it's it mounts up. Did they actually do anything terrible? I don't know. But did they know? Because all this exists in all these circles. Many of them do know, especially when you're huge media power brokers. And these are some of the biggest ever. Katie Couric is one of the most powerful network anchors of all time. Stephanopoulos worked in the Clinton administration, which, by the way, Clinton hosted Epstein at the White House 17 to 19 times, somewhere in that range. We know 17 for sure. Charlie Rose, one of the biggest talk show hosts of all time. Woody Allen, one of the all-time directors. I mean, these are not just randos. These are major power brokers. How do you get that high and not know about this stuff? It's very difficult. And to have that kind of connection also be going over there later, it just, it makes you say, huh, okay, we're going to watch you guys a little more carefully. I can't say for sure. I'm not making any allegations, but I'm going to say, it's funny we never hear these people, anybody go after them. And that's kind of how a club works when you don't want anything getting out, right? You're quiet about the ones you want to protect, but you go after the ones you want to, use stuff against, even if, it's funny. The only people the left and the media attack over the Epstein files are Trump, Elon, and, a handful of others they hate. That's it. All these other names, and we have hundreds of names at this point in some form of association. You never hear about them. They're never brought up unless it's something so obvious the media just has to report on it, but then they report and they move on as if nothing happened. Like they might do a quick story on Bill Gates and then it's moves off like right away, but they'll hammer nonstop that Trump knew Epstein in the 90s. I mean, it's crazy. And just like George Carlin used to say, it's a big club and you ain't in it. So that's what I see here. The big club that we're not in, all protecting each other. Here's some more names. Very interesting file right here. It says about a victim. Says she is identified, Ghislaine Maxwell, as a woman who came to this home in Mexico many times to set up sexual trips for her when she was 10 or 11. We know of death threats against her because of testimony she gave in 2018 against Kelly, which I believe that's R. Kelly, Biden. And I don't know who this Wayne is, but in the sex abuse case in Mexico. But there's Biden's name. Now, 2018, it could be Hunter Biden, but it's definitely a Biden. And these are pretty serious allegations. Let's keep moving. This is where it starts getting really crazy too. Not that obviously the most crazy stuff is the pedophilic stuff. It's in the torture and the abuse. That's the most crazy. But that's unfortunately at this point, we've been shocked by that before. We've known a lot of that stuff coming in. So but there's stuff that's coming out that we didn't know. And it's not as terrible as that stuff, but it's eye-opening because we didn't know it. And this is one of those things right here. Jeffrey Epstein collaborating with Bitcoin developer, biohacker, and transhumanist Brian Bishop to create the first live birth of a human designer baby and conducting initial experiments in Ukraine. Yeah. You wonder why Putin wanted to go into Ukraine so bad? More and more it just becomes obvious. Sounds like you could be the first investor as long as absolute anonymity is kept. I've always envisioned there to be anonymity requirements about babies. We can't publicly identify who these are, their parents or benefactors. It would brand the child as a freak for life. So I always had assumed the investor would need absolute anonymity. This gets us out of our self-funded garage biology phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby and a clone within 5 years. Once we reach the first birth, everything changed. The world will never be the same, much less the future of the human species. So there's a couple things here. Some people are going to jump on this and be like, see, clones, told you. Which, okay, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about people being dead and it's their clones now and all that. And I just just don't believe it. And this to me actually, in my eyes, supports my view more because this guy was trying to get clones going. He didn't say they'd gotten there yet. They were getting the experiments going. And so this tells me they hadn't gotten that done yet. All right. So these emails are from 2018. So even if he could committed it within 5 years, start getting the clones working, that would be babies born as clones in 2023. So it just doesn't add up timeline wise. So to me, this says the whole clone thing, which I've always kind of thought was nonsense, is nonsense, but it does mean they're trying it and they're probably doing horrific experiments on these kids. And Ukraine was ground zero for it, which doesn't surprise me at all. Ukraine also being the place of ground zero for trafficking in the West, just horrible, horrible stuff. So again, we see this, we see Epstein. I mean, in that Bannon interview, he talks about his connections with the markets. I'll be pulling up some more here, but just the degenerate, sick stuff they were involved in, and what this tells you. See what Epstein is what he's a window into that world. That's what these files are giving us. It's actually not all about Epstein, but what it's showing us is that his connections. A lot of these emails aren't like implicating him in a crime. What they're doing is they're revealing the sickness, the degeneracy, the evil going on at the top in all these power structures and institutions. And this is a perfect example of this. I guarantee you Epstein's not the only one with a name we'd know that would be involved in making this stuff happen or trying to make it happen. What kind of sick experiments are they doing? What kind of, you don't even want to think about it. It's so beyond the pale. So many of us could never even dream of being involved in this kind of evil. And yet they act like it's normal. Because to them, they've given up like their soul. They have no connection to God. They have no connection to light anymore. And they just continually go more and more into the darkness. It's so crazy. Cindy Lou says, probably why Trump likes Putin and the globalists hate Trump and Putin. Yeah. Cindy Lou also says, Putin kept asking, where are the children? Russian children going missing. Oh, 100%. Putin's also said other crazy stuff about the Europeans especially, and the people in charge. And I got to tell you, they are, Trump and Putin, I do believe, are on the same side. And I don't mean, I don't mean like world domination, anything like that. I just believe that Putin, trying to make Russia sovereign and make Russia great again, for to tie it to Trump's slogan, he just wanted the globalists out. He wanted to stop being messed with, be left alone, and be able to create new Russia, not a new Soviet Union, a new Russia. And the globalists were always messing with them for a lot of reasons. One of those main reasons is the UK has always hated and coveted Russia. So that goes back hundreds of years. And City of London types, all that, the British Empire. So, because Russia's always been unconquerable for them. It's a threat, and that makes them a threat. I do believe Trump and Putin are on the same side when it comes to the globalists. Get them out. Let's make our country sovereign. Let's make our country strong. And, we can work together where we can work together. And that's kind of what they're doing. And it's a tough relationship because they also have to kind of act like they hate each other sometimes. But I do think there's something really to that. I really do. And I continue to believe that once the Russia-Ukraine war is over, and once Trump's fully gotten to where he needs to be with the EU and NATO, I actually believe we're going to have an incredibly close alliance with Russia. I think it's going to shock people, and it's going to be wonderful for both countries. I really think we're going to see that. Christina says these people are void of emotion, void of conscience, hungry for power. I mean, they are, they delight in evil. Let me put it that way. So, all right, let's keep going. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying it, if you're learning anything, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Got a lot more to get to, so we're just getting into it. Give me a sec. Sorry, guys. Just 1 second here. Money in 2009. Who's he go to? Jeffrey Epstein. Mandelson, House of Lords, UK. This is from Epstein to Mandelson. In 2009, so this is already after Epstein busment of DiCaprio, Russia, etc., cars, etc. He's looking for non-U.S. products to endorse to make some money. Epstein trying to... we have to be careful on this stuff. This is not an allegation against Leo, but it does tell you that in Hollywood, Epstein was known as the guy. This is how Epstein worked. He connected with everybody. I want to be the power broker. He loved being for it. And he loved being the one who could get us into the gross stuff. So is my live freezing up? If it is, I apologize. My connection looks good. So if necessary, maybe refresh. Sorry about that. It seems to only be on YouTube. Okay, let's keep moving. All right. Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky, the beloved man, capitalist. They all love him. He's the counter historian. Just yeah, one of the bad dudes when it comes to academia. And here he is working directly with Epstein. It says Chomsky gives Epstein advice on how to outlast the pedophilia allegations against him. Anyone running interference for Chomsky at this point needs to be thrown in the garbage bin. Here is thoughts from Chomsky to Epstein. I've watched the horrible way you're being treated in the press and public. It's painful to say, but I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. I've had plenty of experience, of course, on this scale. Anyways, crazy to say, but he signs it at the end. Noam. Listen, you notice a pattern here? This is like the left's heroes. Chomsky, DiCaprio, Woody Allen, Stephanopoulos, Charlie Rose. I mean, just one after the other. Clinton, Gore. I mean, it's all their heroes. You notice, but Trump ran in those circles. They loved him in the 80s and 90s. Then he kicks Epstein to the curb. 12 starts going after Obama, the whole birther thing. Trump was like one of the leaders on that. And they all hate him. Why? Because he was supposed to stay. He was supposed to go in with them deeper and deeper and down the rabbit hole, get into the sickness. Trump was, you were one of us. We were going to let you in. And now you're the one exposing us. That's why they hate him so much, guys. Because he is the key breaking it all up. He's exposing them. He's destroying their systems. And on his watch, because of Trump, this has all come out. People are so like quick to be like, Trump tried to hide the Epstein files. BS. We don't know any of this without Trump. This stuff started being talked about after Trump got elected. The Q posts were one of the first places where Epstein's name was dropped. Well before he got busted. Then Epstein gets busted on Trump's watch. Ghislaine Maxwell caught shortly after because of Trump's DOJ. Under Trump's watch, all these files come out in his second term. No one else. Biden never released anything. Obama certainly covered everything up. Bush, Clinton, all this stuff in Epstein's entire time doing this for 40 plus years. Nothing until Trump came along. So he might not always do it the way you guys like. He might not always get you exactly what you want when you want it. But there is no argument to be made that it isn't Trump the reason that's all coming out. Christina says, I sure hope after some of them made dirty deals with them, found out what they did, they went home and scrubbed themselves off. They probably bathed in something else disgusting. Connie asks, is anybody going to pay for this? That's a great question. So I talked about this last time. There will be some payment. It's not going to all be what you want. A lot of these people won't go to prison because, for one thing, there's not enough concrete evidence to put them away. A lot of this is allegations, a lot of it's circumstantial evidence, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is out of the statute of limitations. Now, obviously, if it's murder or something else horrific that they actually have the evidence for, then that's something that, they could go after them. But we don't have all that. What we do have, they'll take away their fame, their fortune. They'll die paupers when they were once princes. There are some, and the other factor is some people have paid for this. Epstein went to prison and then died. Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison right now. Luke Brunel, dead. So there are some people who have already been busted for this and captured. But it's not going to look exactly like we all want it to. And the reason is there's not, I mean, guys, we have a justice system in America. And that system means that you are innocent until proven guilty, even if you're guilty in the court of public opinion. And that's just a reality. And it's disappointing and it sucks. And do I want to see so many of these things go down? Absolutely. Do I think there's going to be some justice coming out of this in ways we want? Yes. But I also think we have to be realistic and realize some of this stuff, some of these emails are things from 20, 30 years ago. And the odds of it turning into something are low. And they just are. So it's not that no one will pay, because some have. It's that it's going to look different for some than we want it to. And we just have to accept that, like, that's sometimes how it is. It sucks. But we can ruin their legacies. We can make sure the history writes very unfairly about them. It ruins it for their children. It ruins it for generations. They have to be restarted. I mean, that's ultimately, and then they'll face a final judgment for what they've done. So there's that as well. And again, it's not what everybody wants, because everybody wants that dopamine hit of seeing everybody cuffed and perp walked. I get it. But that's just, unfortunately, that's not how it always works. And that, honestly, it has nothing to do with Trump. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with Pam Bondi. Now, what we need to focus on right now, as well, is also getting done the stuff that's happening now. And the people who can be caught now for RICO conspiracies, for crimes that can be proven without, beyond a shadow of a doubt, so they do face prison time. That's, we need to hope that happens. And that's what we need to hold the Trump administration accountable for. If by the end of their 4 years, if none of that's happened, then we have issues. Okay. So, Cindy Lou says, some question that Epstein might still be alive. There are people who say that. I don't think there's a lot of evidence to that, but there's enough where it's interesting for sure. Another thing not to forget, and I am jumping over to WikiLeaks here for a second, but it's just because it ties together, and I talked about the other night, but the email about Obama and the hot dogs and pizza. This is to Barack Obama, Huma Abedin, John Podesta. 11 was the end of his first term. Remember, the hot dogs can come, but if you make a spectacle out of king as a friend, you're the president, can do as you like. But I have to think it would be wiser to restrict this activity to our predetermined locations. Let me know what everyone thinks. We can vote if you'd like. Thanks, Hillary. So, just in case you've never seen this, this is pretty crazy. What emails are heresy? The WikiLeaks emails? No, they're very real. Nicki Minaj. I don't know if you guys have been following the whole Nicki Minaj thing, but Nicki Minaj was one of them. She was one of the biggest recording artists in the world. They absolutely loved her. 100+ million records sold. She is a star among stars. Then she, going deep into darkness, decided it wasn't for her, came back, found Jesus, got baptized, and now is all MAGA, and she is exposing. This is what she has been posting. Your favorite artist, she's saying in general, your favorite artist, has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries, mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their God. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up. This is from Nicki Minaj. I hope you guys understand how crazy this is. Here's a Q post right next to it just to show what was being shared. It says pedo networks are being dismantled. Child abductions for satanic rituals in third world countries are paused. This was from the first Trump administration. But, and then they show over here this collection of a Baphomet chest release and showing LeBron James doing what could be considered that. Now, there have been some weird rumors about LeBron. I am not making allegations.
LeBron James satanic ritual.
There are many people. I mean, he does do a lot of crazy stuff in his little pregame ritual. Could that just be some weird thing he came up with his friends? Sure, it's possible. Again, I'm not making allegations, but I gotta show it to you guys because it's strange, and you know we all need to have our eyes open, just in case the proof does come out. But so Nicki Minaj doing God's work. Here's another post from her. Are you all understanding these people have been sacrificing children as a way of gaining and maintaining power? If you ever vote Democrat again, you're just as soulless as they are and will perish. Maybe it's time for me to do some story time since I was trying not to say what I know, yet they continue to attempt bullying. Also, I won't be releasing an album until my contract's renegotiated. Till I tell you all about the sabotage this Rico is finding out about Billboard. And there she's got Jay-Z with Beyonce at 16. I don't know that. I think that might be Aaliyah right there. So we have more and more people coming out exposing stuff that were once in the industry. And again, I'm telling you, they're hating on Nicki right now. They're acting like she just lost her mind. But no, the girl found her mind. She found her soul again. And now is on putting people on blast. Amazing what we're seeing, guys. These are crazy times. But I've always said that I thought that was Aaliyah. Thanks, Shogun. You would know, huh, buddy? The music industry is the darkest. Out of all the entertainment industries, it's the darkest. Music's number 1, Hollywood's 2, politics 3, and then there's sports. So it does go in that order, and sports is far below the other ones. For a myriad of reasons, but it's been a lot harder to get into the sports people because they actually get there on merit. There's that. Okay. You can't fake being talented in sports. It's just, you always get exposed, but these other places, they groom you. You do the dirty deeds to reach to the top. Now it's not everybody. Some get there on their talent. Don't get me wrong. When I say these institutions are evil and corrupt and run by disgusting people, it's true. But it also doesn't mean every single person who's become famous is evil. All right. But I will say that a good amount of them, especially those that reach the top, almost all of them are fully in, especially in the last 30 years. Where it's really gotten much, much worse since the 90s. It's always been bad. It's always been corrupt, but it's progressively gotten worse and worse over time. And you wonder why everything like music just isn't as good anymore in the mainstream stuff, and why Hollywood can't put out good movies anymore. It's because when you're so corrupt at the top and everything is so controlled, there's no creativity anymore. And they've chased it all out because it's just a bunch of automaton puppets up there now. Well, that's also impacting the industries because now there's no free spirits. There's no real creativity anymore. There's nothing real being pushed boundary wise. It's all a system. And once it's all controlled like that, the true artists are pushed out, because a lot of them won't do what it takes to get there. You see what you see, which also means it's at the breaking point. It's going to start falling soon. And a lot of it for Hollywood, especially, started with Me Too. Me Too movement did a lot of terrible things. Don't get me wrong. It allowed women to condemn men for stuff they didn't even do sometimes and be punished for it. And so it was way overcorrection, but it also did something really good. It purged Hollywood of a lot of its worst people. Didn't quite get to the music industry, though. Just saying. Except for Diddy. Epstein files. Here's some more. This is more of the crazy stuff. expose JP Morgan and Bill Gates plan to turn pandemics into profit machines years before COVID. You can see they were planning COVID for a long time here. Unsealed DOJ documents from Epstein Trove reportedly include 2011 emails laying out a sophisticated playbook for monetizing future pandemics through hidden financial structures. What did they do during COVID? It was the largest transfer of wealth in world history from the poor to the rich. They stole so many of our assets. Think of all the businesses they put out of business while force feeding Amazon and Walmart to get bigger, pumping the stock market with all that money from Treasury. Biden came in, the Democratic Party, the states run by the Democrats had way overspent, billions and hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. Biden comes in, replenishes all their coffers with gives each of us $1,100 or whatever it was, and gave them hundreds of billions of dollars to bail out the blue states who are about to go bankrupt. Lockfeld says JP Morgan's the one who debanked Trump. Yep. So just say, guys, this is the kind of stuff they knew exactly what they were doing once COVID hit. They were going to. It didn't go as far as they wanted it to. Trump was able to stop it. He also, I believe, forced them to push it out faster than they were prepared to. They were going to keep us on lockdown for a decade. They were going to keep us in the place where we weren't able to work, where we were alone and mental health was going terrible. They wanted us to drink ourselves to death, not allow us to go to church, not allow us to come together. That was their plan. Keep us locked down as long as they possibly could, kill off as many of us as they possibly could. And it didn't work the way they wanted it to, except for the financial area where they were able to kill so many small businesses, ruin so many lives of people who actually had good jobs. And they were very close to turning our economy. If it hadn't been for Trump, if it had been a Democrat on the watch during COVID, I guarantee you our full economy would have been turned into a socialist economy, because that's what they tried to do. You can't stay open, but you can. Crazy stuff. But anyways, this just shows you this is what they wanted to do. No wonder Bill Gates was one of the ones out there pushing from the very beginning for Robert Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots, to come out 1 week before the Super Bowl. But here it is. Epstein coordinated Robert Kraft's legal defending world as he emailed both Steve Bannon and Ehud Barak about it too. Now this is where it starts getting crazy. We all knew Kraft was a sleazeball. I mean, the fact that he was in with Epstein isn't surprising. It just makes him worse. But the deal on where I was at with Bannon in the last video. So I'm just going to take 1 second and say again, I'm not condemning Steve Bannon. I'm not saying he's bad, but I am saying these emails are concerning, and they should at least make us think, watch Bannon a little more carefully, because this is kind of crazy. By the way, I just saw my connection kind of kick down for a second. Are you guys still able to watch me? How's the frame rate? Epstein and Bannon brainstorming how to paint China as the new enemy for the mainstream media. Talks about black and white hackers, encourages Bannon to create a new group of red, white, and blue hackers. Says, if you really think China is a threat, turn the American teen hackers loose. It's just very strange they were having these. Bannon, what's he always hammering on? He's always hammering on China. It makes you wonder why. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of China. China's our biggest economic competitor. They're communists. I don't like China. But why would they have to talk this stuff through? I mean, they act like buddies and all this stuff. And then there's this. In a leaked 2019 text exchange between Epstein and Steve Bannon, Epstein texted, now you can understand why Trump wakes up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears you and I are friends. Bannon replies, dangerous. Is that crazy? I don't know. It almost seems like they were colluding against Trump. Bannon, in these emails, is shown to be helping Epstein, coaching him through reworking his image. I mean, why? Now, again, there is one answer that it's kind of like Bannon, a 4D chess guy, and it kind of makes sense because Bannon is kind of a renegade. Is it possible Bannon was just staying close to Epstein to try to get more and more dirt from him so he could expose it later? Bannon is the kind of guy who might do something like that. Okay. Totally understand that. But Bannon needs to speak to this because otherwise it really looks like he was against Trump with Epstein. So just saying, there's another email exchange where he brags about helping kill one of Trump's trade deals with China to Epstein. So just wild stuff. So Steve Bannon, I'm asking for you to speak to some of this because it's pretty crazy. Some of this stuff does not look good. It really doesn't. I mean, here's another one. Bannon derides Donald Trump as the worst negotiator in human history. There it is right here. Trump, worst negotiator in human history. I mean, that's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Okay, here's Mike Benz. A little bit of what he was talking about on Rogan. Says there's a million Epsteins we don't even know about. He's part of a class, whatever, effectively professional fixers. I'll just play the clip real quick.
Here's the big question that people ask. If there was a Jeffrey Epstein, and it seems like all these things he was involved in, is there a Jeffrey Epstein right now that we don't know about?
There's a million of them.
A million of them.
I mean, this is why I find this, this is not the core of what I focus on. But I find it a really interesting field of study because it helps understand so many other U.S. government institutions and the relationship between government and private business. Jeffrey Epstein is part of a class of what are effectively professional fixers. And this is a kind of class of professional who sits not really within a particular government or private sector institution, but in the kind of sticky layer between them that connects them all.
Here's the big...
Yeah. Benz is absolutely correct. Boswell says, maybe that's why Trump fired Bannon since he was helping Epstein. It's possible. I do think it's possible, especially because if Bannon, even if Bannon was doing it for good reasons, interesting reasons, if it came out that Bannon and Epstein have been talking and Bannon's in the Trump administration, it would look terrible for the administration. So one way or the other, it's bad. It's real bad. So thank you, Mark. Remind everybody, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Benz is on it here. So, that's the one thing that keeps coming up as we see all this. It's like, what was Epstein actually doing? What was he actually a part of all this? Was it just a big pedophilia ring? And I don't think so. I think he's the window into it all. And he engaged in that stuff. He enjoyed it. He was a sick, twisted, perverted man. But I don't think he was the one coordinating all of that aspect of it. We just haven't seen enough evidence of that. We just see that he's a part of it. Yes, he had the island, of course, but there's all kinds of other people who coordinate this stuff too. So I don't think that was his main thing. Benz puts it together really well right here. And he says, he told Rogan he's never been convinced Epstein's operation was primarily about blackmail. The entire network was a house of cards that would have collapsed the moment people even suspected that's what's happening. I've never been convinced. Central role of the Epstein young girl, in my view. Sidebar of the Epstein money laundering story is that it was for blackmail. This is because the moment Epstein formally, officially threatens somebody with blackmail and that person tells his wife, that wife tells her friends, that gets out to somebody else that knows Epstein, his access goes away overnight. That's the sort of thing, a rumor spreading and nobody else is going to want to do business with them. And it says people just assume it's blackmail because that's how you would blackmail someone. He says that's possible because it could be indirect because it was maybe passed on to an intelligence service. But anyways, and I think he's right. And I've actually heard this argument made before. It wasn't about collecting all this blackmail. And I think that's why, one of the reasons why we haven't seen as many arrests as we want yet, because, and Pam Bondi, what did she say when she was asked about this? She said he had loads of child porn and he had videos of himself and of the girls, but it doesn't say that he had videos of the other guys. And it might be he had a couple, but if he wasn't recording the other men with the girls because he wanted to keep the access going, if his main goal wasn't blackmail, then it actually makes a lot of sense why we haven't seen a lot of arrests yet. And it would make a lot of sense why Trump calls it a hoax, because it's obviously not a hoax. This man's connections, his filthy, disgusting things he was a part of, that's not the hoax. The hoax is that somehow Epstein is leading to so much more than that people want or people are expecting. Stuff that like Thomas Massey's throwing out there. So I think that's all. I think Benz is absolutely right on that. So, so speaking of Trump, he spoke to the Epstein stuff today, and here's a clip of what Trump had to say about all this coming out.
Mr. President, are you going to sue Trevor Noah? Last night in a post, you alluded that something could become.
Yeah, well, he said that I spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I didn't. I mean, he's a lightweight. This guy is a terrible. I think he's terrible. I thought he did a terrible job at the Grammys. I thought the whole Grammys was terrible. I watched part of it. It's not watchable. But he was a lousy host. I'd say not as bad as Jimmy Kimmel, but pretty close. And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, I mean, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people that there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me. But it was even sort of better than that, because they found that Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election. So right there, you know that I had nothing to do with this guy. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. When Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from them. But think of it, they were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office, so I guess that didn't work out too well. Okay.
So that does not look like a man who's worried. As People's Pundit Rich Barris even came out today, it said President's one of the few people who came out of this debacle with his hands clean. So again, I see in the chat somebody asked, was someone over Epstein pulling his strings, and could that someone be around? Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, we showed his connection to the Rothschilds. We know that he was an asset to intelligence agencies. But here's what I believe he was. Again, because he wasn't a blackmailer like Mike Benz said. We just don't have the evidence for that. What Epstein was he was the guy who would make these connections, and he would get the elites the dark desires of their hearts. He would set them up with money. He would take them to island, get them girls. He was the guy that it was like hey, you wanna party? Oh man, you got to meet this Epstein guy. He'll take you on wild places. Oh, you need money? Hey, I know a guy, this Epstein guy, he'll hook you up with money. He was planting himself in it. He was making the person, like Ben said it, the fixer. He was the guy you went to for whatever you wanted or needed. And that's how he connected to everybody. Everybody. And even people who didn't do anything wrong knew him. Like, he was connected to everybody. And what did the intelligence agencies use him for? Well, it wasn't the blackmail, it was the information. Information after information after information. Just, hey, what do you know about so-and-so? Now, again, like Ben said, some of it could be blackmail. Because he could be like, hey, this guy's into some really sick stuff. I got some emails. But he never did like the purposeful blackmail, the setups, because that's when, if he got busted, it would have put the whole house of cards down. Because what Ben said makes so much sense. One person gets blackmailed by Epstein, or it gets found out about it, everybody stops talking to him, because these people all talk, as we can see. I mean, think of how many different people, famous people, connected people, wealthy people were talking to Epstein. All of them talked to him at some point, or talked to somebody who knew him. I mean, think of all the names that have come through these emails. It's insane. He knew everybody. And by knowing everybody, it also made it where if it shows they all talk. And so if one person was blackmailed by him and they could trace it to him, they knew it was over. And so like nobody would trust him anymore. So what he did is he just kept being that guy, like, hey buddy, I'll hook you up. Hey, I'll set you up. I mean, think about it. When he went in 2008, Alex Acosta, the prosecutor, was told you can't touch him because he's intelligence's guy. All right. We have that on record. That's reported by Glenn Greenwald. So he was warned, don't mess with this guy. But at the same time, they did bust Epstein, and he didn't give up anything. Nothing. So all these elites trusted him. Oh, Jeffrey doesn't talk. He's got the connections. He'll keep it on the down low. You don't have to worry about Jeffrey. I can tell you just by everything we see, the trust these people had in him. That's definitely the way it went. I mean, that one email, hey, Leo needs money. And what did Epstein do immediately? Starts looking, going out and trying to make all the connections. You have China, Russia. Somebody need to sell cars. We need to get Leo some money. That's what he was. He was the guy. He got you what you wanted. You want girls? Hey, you want a crazy time? I got an island. You want money? I'll find you a way to money. You want to talk about like crazy investments? Like, he was into sick stuff, because all this guy ever did was it just like his entire job was just to live through like the fleshly desires and push those limits. He was helping everybody else do it too. And so, yeah, he's used by intelligence agencies for that, because that way he keeps all these people close, but he doesn't have to directly be the blackmailer. They're doing it by watching Epstein, by the information that comes out. It makes perfect sense. And so that way they can all monitor all these people and control them as well from afar. I mean, it's crazy. And it makes so much sense that when somebody stirs the pot, like Trump, or like Nicki Minaj now leaving, the music industry and calling it out, or think of actors that have done it and been blacklisted. It makes so much sense that once you break away, you become their devil. You become so evil to them, because they're all terrified of any of this getting out, because in their club, it's closed doors, and it is, what goes on in there is disgusting. These people think they're the kings of the world. They can get away with anything. So one person leaves, that we have to tear that person down. We have to ruin that person's career. We have to ruin any trust in them, make it so nobody can believe they're legit. They have to do that, because that way when stuff comes out and these are the people behind it, like, you seem crazy. They do the same thing with regular people, conspiracy theorists. people who are posting on Reddit, or well, Reddit's so moderated now, but 4chan, 8chan, whatever, like if you're sharing crazy stuff, they pollute the bowl with even crazier things and try to get as many people believing those things as possible so they can debunk it all. That's what they do. Cindy Lou says, if Epstein had all those connections, did he also have the connections to get him out of prison? So I don't think so on Trump's watch. I think one of two things happened with Epstein once he was caught. Either it's the Trump administration or people working with the Trump administration, white hats as they'll call them, who got Epstein out so that they could have him as a witness and locked away, maybe in Gitmo, maybe some crazy other place nobody knows about, some, dark CIA bunker, have him locked away and he's giving information, but they took, so that's potential number one if he's still alive. I actually think that's the main potential if he's alive. The other thing is he could have been murdered by the Clintons working with Bill Barr. So Bill Barr, Trump's attorney general at the time Epstein's busted. Well, William Barr is in these emails. He's sick. William Barr's dad is the man who gave Epstein his first job as a math teacher at a prestigious school, despite the fact Epstein had no credentials or schooling. He got a top-notch teaching job at a prestigious private school, which, if you're in your 20s, late 20s, early 30s, that's a great job. And from there, he started making his connections with JP Morgan and the banks and started to, it all built up from there. The guy who gave Epstein his first job was Bill Barr's dad. So you think William Barr, AG under Trump, who Trump hates now because he betrayed Trump. Trump didn't know. See, Trump's first administration, the Republicans, as Trump was coming in, said, we cannot believe this guy won. He is going to destroy us. So the deep state went to work. The Uniparty went to work. And they planted, because Trump didn't know any better yet. He didn't know who was good or bad. He trusted the Republican Party too much. He didn't realize. He knew how bad the Democrats were. He didn't know how bad the Republicans were. So Pence got in. Mike Pence, William Barr, the defense guys, I can't think of their names off the top of my head right now. So many of his cabinet people were deep state rhinos. Obviously Mike Pence and many others. Now there was some good people still in there, and that's why the first Trump administration still got a lot of good done. But Trump was too trusting of the Republicans his first term. He didn't know. And he learned after January 6th how many of them betrayed him, took names, figured it all out, had 4 more years to plan, and then came in with a much stronger administration this time. He weeded them out. But Bill Barr was one of them. He sold out Trump. He did. Did Bill Barr do Waco? I thought Waco was... No, Waco was under Clinton. That was... what's her face? I can't think of her name right now. Janet Reno. So, but Bill Barr had every reason to want to kill Epstein once Epstein was under capture, is my point. Because if Epstein had talked, it could have gotten back to Barr. And so that would have made it even easier for somebody like the Clintons to get in and kill him. So Benny's reporting Epstein's alive, but also reported Wells was settling down a week ago. Yeah, I mean, listen, it was Reno. Thanks, Lochfeld. He can't. I think the odds are definitely that Epstein's dead. I really do. But I'll say it wouldn't surprise me if he's still alive. So that's where I'll leave that. Okay, last thing on Epstein files for now. We just got this report out from ABC News yesterday. Attorneys for alleged victims of late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein are urging 2 federal judges in New York to order the immediate takedown of the DOJ's Epstein Files website citing unfolding emergency. Now, this story is that a bunch of, this is ABC News too. This story is a bunch of victims who I thought the victims, remember Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene are the ones out there marching with victims behind them saying, hey, it's the victims that want this out. Don't even redact anything. We want the victims' names out there. I mean, not the victims' names, but we want everything out there. The victims don't care. They want justice. They don't care. Don't redact anything. And now we have a story 2 days after it's all comes out that victims are telling judges to tell them to shut it down because there's too much out there. You're hurting us. One of two things is happening here. Either A, Massey was lying the whole time and Trump was right about, like, we don't need to put all this out there, which wouldn't surprise me. Or B, the deep state is freaking out that all this files just came out and is trying to get it shut down. Now, what I'll say is, I mean, because that's definitely what the Democrats elites always do, right? They go through the courts, get corrupt judges to work with them. What I'll say is this: the deep state types, the elites, usually when they have a big mess like this, they go into other ways of covering because they know this is already, everything's out there. It's already been archived. You can't shut it down. The information's out there. So it's less likely. But if this is actually victims putting these judges up to it, it means Thomas Massey's an even bigger scumbag than we already thought he was. And I'm telling you, he is a total scumbag. Let's move on to Massey real quick. Trump is calling Massey out hard right now. Hard. And this is after the Epstein files are out and after he's already had to deal with, Massey pushing him to come out. So now Trump is vindicated because these files really have nothing new against Trump and just make it look like he's doing better, especially the stuff that showed Epstein and Wolf and Bannon and all these other people like plotting against Trump to stop him. So says people are saying Thomas Massey became a liberal because his new wife, blessed be their marriage, is supposedly a radical left flamethrower. This new union all went so fast, maybe he didn't know what he was getting into, but nevertheless, he's an absolute terrible and unreliable Republican, quote unquote, perhaps a rhino or even worse. And then he pushes this Gelrin guy. But just more and more keeps coming out about Massey. So look at the donors giving to the squad. Kamala Harris, Obama, and Clinton are also the same ones giving to Thomas Massey. I mean, this is crazy stuff. And so the money is talking. More and more coming out with Massey. And I think that, we are seeing in the exposure with the Epstein files, it is starting to expose more and more every single person who is bad. And some of those people didn't know Epstein, but they're still deep state assets. And we're going to see people we're surprised about. Like I said, I'm not calling out Steve Bannon yet, but these emails certainly got me on edge. Massey is one of them. I think he is absolutely a deep state asset. Look at how he just keeps fighting against Trump. And these are people who are celebrating the movement. Okay, it's just the further this goes, the more they have to deploy assets that were hidden, that had cozied up to us, that had planted themselves in MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene, perfect example. She was clearly, Marjorie, she came in the 2020 election. That's when she was elected in. So she never served for more than 2 weeks with Trump in the first term. Then she made her bones, made her hay became famous during the Biden administration. And then what happens as soon as Trump comes back in, she becomes Trump's not actually MAGA. Trump's forgotten who he is. Trump's not America first. And she goes full liberal. Now she's showing up on The View, all these other liberal shows, hanging out with Bill Maher over the weekend. It's like a nonstop critical of Donald Trump. Oh, and even left her post a year early. So she can't stay and fight anymore, can't vote. Like, does that say like somebody principled? No, that says you're an asset. You've done your job. We used you. You rankled up Trump in his first year. You got them all. Now you get rewarded. Now you become a celebrity. Come over here into Hollywood land. We're going to pay you so much money in the private sector because of what you've done. We're going to make you famous. They're going to love you. You're going to become a hero on the left. And what is she doing? They all love her now. MTG, man, she's calling it out straight. She's calling out Trump. I'm telling you, these people are assets. And they just wait for when they're supposed to be deployed. And they cozy up. And the thing is like, there are some people we might love right now who might very well betray us. So keep our eyes open. But the good news is that it's getting harder and harder to hide. And it shows because there's so much pressure being on this stuff. It's just they have to keep deploying. And I think a lot of times they're deployed early. Yeah, they can't take it down now. Everything's been dissected. I agree with you, Cindy. It doesn't matter at this point. Speaking of exposure, I mean, look at this. The sanctuary cities right now are big in everybody's mind. But this just came out. Somebody broke this down really well. That the sanctuary cities are also the biggest human trafficking cities in America. You think that's a coincidence? There's no way. The Democrat administration, the Biden administration, as called out in several testimonies, is the number one human trafficking cabal in world history. And this is what they do. Now, if this was regular Republicans in charge, they would pay some lip service to this issue and do nothing. But Trump's actually trying to break it up. See, that's the Republicans' job, be the controlled opposition for several years. As the Democrats become more and more open. What are we dealing with now? People getting frustrated with the Republicans. They're not getting enough done. Why? Because we have a system where it's not a king. Trump can't do everything. And the Republicans are holding up a lot of his agenda, saying they're going to do stuff, then backtracking, saying they're going to do stuff, and then doing the half version of it. They are holding off. They can't wait to get Democrats back in, because then they get to go back to being the controlled opposition, play their part. Trump is going to do everything he can to break that this year and actually have the Republicans win the midterms. And then they'll be forced to move along with his agenda. Cindy Lewis says, finance sector, music sector, Hollywood sector, if they take it down, nothing's lost. Yeah. Johnny Strayer says, Barr's term ended in January of 93. Waco took place in February. Oh, interesting. So maybe Barr helped plan it and Reno just conducted it. Interesting. I never put the timing together on that. So crazy. You're awesome, Cindy. But again, guys, what happened with the Biden administration, the open borders? They came in 300,000 children missing. Tom Homan talking about it, crying as he talks about it because he knows, because he's done Border Patrol for 40 years. He knows what's happening. He knows the stories. He knows what's happening to these poor kids. Yeah. That's the deep state. That's the uniparty. That's what fully controls every single Democrat in power, except for Fetterman because he had a stroke. And it also controls most of the Republican Senate. It's the sickest people alive. And they're just okay to keep letting this happen. Okay, as we keep going about the exposure, we're seeing fraud in California. This is insane. 18% of the whole country's healthcare billing coming out of one county. So, I don't think it's any coincidence all this is coming out at once. Whether it's the Somali fraud, the Epstein files, this hospice fraud now in California. If you haven't noticed a theme starting since December, late December, when it started in Minnesota, the exposure, it's that right now it's full on exposure time, which tells me that we are getting ready to see justice in the next couple months begin. It's not going to be all at once. They can't possibly do it all at once. There's too much. They don't have enough people, but it'll start. I don't think we're that far away from arrests. And I think what's happening now is getting all the information out to the people so the people start demanding it more and more. I mean, these numbers coming out are insane. These Epstein files are insane. Everything's insane right now. It's like mind blowing how just crazy everything we're seeing is. And so that tells me that, you know, the first step before you take down something is you broadcast it. You broadcast what they've been doing to the public. And otherwise it looks like you caught somebody and then you just made something up to give a reason for catching them. But if you get the public on your side first, then whatever you do, the public's on your side. So all that to say, guys, we're heading in the right direction on so many things. I think the Somali money fraud in Minnesota also related to human trafficking. Oh, I believe there's a big part of that. Yeah, daycares and stuff. It's absolutely. All right, guys. Well, hey, if you don't mind hitting that like, hitting that subscribe, I appreciate it. If you really like what I do for my work, you can support the channel by going in the description, hitting that Patreon link, get a free gift, a month off for free, your first month. And if you're on X, you can check on my pinned posts on my profile. Please give a follow, a like, and I appreciate everybody watching. I wanted to cover just a couple last things before we go, because I said I would the other night. Number one, I just wanted to talk about, well, actually, let me do this first. So there's a story going around that Ed Martin is a prosecutor, really important attorney for going after corruption and fraud, was kicked out of the DOJ off his task force. We're getting a lot of conflicting reports. I think he's still in the administration. Trump would not let him be lost, but it does show you there's still some stuff going on that's shady in our government. And apparently Trump didn't even hear about this, and now he's getting back in and not leaving. So just so you know, guys, the war going on behind the scenes is very intense. And then the last couple of things I wanted to share was just a couple wins here. It's that today we got manufacturing numbers in, and already in just year one, we're already starting to see massive results. Factory orders up 5.5%. American Steel has exceeded Japan for the first time in 30 years. We got an aluminum factory coming in, John Deere, Whirlpool, Jeep, and Apple coming home. So massive stuff coming in. The manufacturing index was the highest it's been in a very long time. So really good news coming there. And then I wanted to play this click for you guys real quick on Peter St. Ong talking about the new Fed chair, because I've had a lot of questions. Is this guy a good pick? Warsh, is he? There's some people in like Rich Barris, people on Bannon's War Room are kind of not saying good things about Warsh. I'm telling you, I think Warsh is an amazing pick, and he's going to be exactly what we need to navigate these next few years. But anyways, here's a clip about Warsh, the new Fed chair.
Donald Trump has a new Fed chair, inflation hawk Kevin Warsh. The end of the road for Too Late Powell. Warsh was a surprise since he's by far the hardest money guy out of the candidates in question, so Warsh was pushing for rate hikes in the midst of the 2008 crisis. Indeed, a week ago, Warsh was just 23% on prediction market Kalshi before jumping to 93% the day before the announcement. So Warsh, the former Fed member from 2006 to 2011, meaning his biggest moment was the 2008 crisis. While he did support the bank bailouts like everybody in Washington, Warsh was one of the first to go hard money. Famously, in April of 2009, inflation was running just 0.8%, unemployment was at 9%. That's normally when the Fed goes zero rates and dumps trillions into markets. But Warsh was arguing for rate hikes and ending stimulus. This, of course, is the adult thing to do. Rate hikes are the fastest way to clear out the malinvestment garbage and any crash. Still, right now, hard money is not what markets were expecting. In fact, gold and silver have been surging for months on expectations the new Fed would be an easy money chump. Instead, Trump apparently appointed the hardest money guy since Paul Volcker, the hard money Fed chair who ended the 1970s inflation by hiking rates to nearly 20%. Now, this is all surprising since Trump has been on the warpath for rate cuts with Jerome Powell, calling him a moron, numbskull, even a nincompoop for keeping rates too high too long, which strangles the economy. So appointing Volcker 2.0 might seem off-brand. But there's two important details here. First, in recent speeches, Warsh has been pushing for rate cuts, so easy money, but paired with selling off the mountain of assets the Fed has built up with past money printing. This is called QT, quantitative tightening, and it means selling the $6.5 trillion worth of treasuries and mortgage bonds the Fed bought with its past money printing. Selling them cancels the dollars, which reduces inflation. Warsh calls this Robin Hood policy, as in giving Main Street rate cuts paid by Wall Street's QT, which cancels the inflation. In fact, you can get deflation if growth on Main Street goes high enough. This is the opposite of what investment banker Jerome Powell's been doing, holding rates high to strangle Main Street while buying more assets to keep Wall Street in hookers and blow. The other caveat is Warsh is very reassuring to financial markets, which...
Okay, so I wanted to play that for you guys because Warsh is a genius pick. He's exactly what we need. And it's pretty amazing how Trump pulled this off. There's a lot of people thinking like he was just left. Nobody wants to do their job. No, this is exactly what Trump wants. The guy who... So first of all, money printing. I hear it all the time. And the economy's going to crash or the stock market's going to take, they're just going to print. Well, Warsh is the one person who won't print. He, at least from the Fed. Did you hear what Ong just said? He said that Warsh will cut rates, but he'll also tighten. He'll do quantitative tightening, not easing. Easing is what the Obama administration did, where he had the Fed buying trillions of dollars of assets out of the stock market, pumping the markets full of money and getting us into ultimately this huge inflation spiral, which culminated because of COVID. Warsh is the opposite. Warsh hates the idea of too big to fail. He's on record saying, I don't believe in that. He hates the Fed holding all this capital, and he's totally fine, which is what Peter Ong just said, with the markets going down as long as it's good for Main Street. And this could cause deflation, which I've been saying Trump wants to get to. Guys, we're looking at an entirely different Fed, which means if Warsh is in charge and there's a market downturn, means there's not going to be any money printing, because Scott Bessent isn't going to be a big money printer, and neither at the Treasury. And then Warsh is not going to do quantitative easing. He actually believes in tightening the belts and raising the rates when things go bad, which is what exactly they should have done, which is what Volcker did in the 80s to cause the huge boom into the 90s. So Warsh is an incredible pick. And I do not understand all the people against it, except unless, especially MAGA people. And this is one thing, like, again, I've been telling you guys, keep your eyes open on all these influencers, even ones we might trust because they've been MAGA or whatever. But like people like Rich Bear, Steve Bannon, like, especially Barish was like saying that Warsh is a terrible pick. He's not MAGA. I'm like, how is it not MAGA to want responsible fiscal policy that will actually be better for Main Street, not Wall Street? I don't understand that. Warsh is the guy. He's not a Keynesian economist. He is the first non-globalist, non-Keynesian economist since I don't even know, like, to run the Fed since, I guess, Volcker, maybe. And I thought Volcker had some ties too. Now I know some people are like, oh, he's a Bilderberg group. He's Bilderberger. Dude, he was in his 30s and he got invited to go up there. I mean, if you're in finance, you're going. It doesn't mean you're one of them. It doesn't mean you're one of the power brokers. So again, there's so much noise out there. And it's just because association, it doesn't make you guilty. It doesn't mean you're one of them just because you hung out at one point. So, we got to use our brains. We got to look at what's going on. I think this is a fantastic pick. And I think it's just going to lead to that golden age economy that I believe is coming. It's starting this year. By the end of the year, I think it's having started. The economy is going to get much better. And now we have Warsh in charge of monetary policy, along with Besson at the Treasury. That and Trump at president. That's a dream team for building out what I think could be the best economy we've seen since the 1800s. I'm not even joking. It's going to be incredible the next few years. I really believe that. So, anyways. Okay, guys, I went long tonight. Thank you for watching and sticking with me. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you learned something. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe, repost, share, whatever it is you want to do to support the channel. Thank you for that. And, let a friend know if you're feeling better after watching this. So let's do what we always do, end in a prayer, and then we'll get out of here for tonight. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God, I thank you for all the exposure getting out there. I pray for more. God, we want justice, we want exposure, and we want peace and prosperity back in our land in Jesus' name. I pray protection over President Trump and his team, God. I pray for wisdom for them and boldness. I pray, God, that you would give them everything they need to enact the best agenda for the people, Lord. And Lord, I pray for everybody here that you would bless them. Let them feel your presence, Father, in the name of Jesus, and just be with them. And whatever they need, help them through it. And God, help us navigate these crazy times so that we also can prosper individually, and leave something better for our kids and grandkids. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Love you guys. Have a wonderful night. And thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Headlines screaming like a siren at night. Red and